The boardroom doors exploded open. Elena Anderton froze mid-step, her breath catching as three identical pairs of gray eyes, his eyes, stared up at her from the reception area of Thorne Industries. 4 years. 4 years she'd stayed hidden, stayed safe, stayed away from this God-forsaken building and the man who'd destroyed her inside it. But here she was, walking straight back into the lion's den, her children's tiny hands gripping hers like lifelines. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're settling in for this one because it's going to shake you. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. I love seeing our global family grow. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button because stories like this don't tell themselves, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The receptionist's face had already drained of color. Ms. Anderton, you can't be here. Tell Sebastian Corleone I'm here to negotiate, Elena said, her voice steadier than her thundering heart. Tell him his past just caught up with him. 4 years ago, Sebastian Corleone had been untouchable, CEO of a tech empire, ruthless, brilliant, and cursed with a medical condition that made him supposedly incapable of fathering children. The press had whispered about it for years. His enemies had mocked him. His family had pitied him. He'd been desperate, and Elena had been convenient. One night, one contract she'd signed under duress, her trembling hand barely able to hold the pen as his cold voice listed the terms. One medical procedure his private doctors had sworn would be clinical, professional, nothing more. They'd lied. He'd lied. Now her 3-year-old triplets, Lily, Mason, and Sophie, stood in the lobby of their father's empire, and Elena's carefully constructed world was about to detonate. "Mommy, why does that lady look scared?" Lily whispered, tugging her sleeve. "Because she recognizes your eyes, baby, because she knows exactly whose children you are." The elevator chimed. Elena's pulse spiked. Sebastian Corleone stepped out, and the air itself seemed to bend around him. 6'3" of controlled fury in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Elena's entire year of hiding. His jaw was sharper than she remembered, his dark hair threaded with just enough silver to make him look distinguished rather than aged. Those gray eyes, the ones she saw every morning in triplicate, locked onto hers. Then dropped to the children. His face went absolutely white. "That's impossible," he breathed. Elena smiled, but it was the kind of smile that cut. "Impossible? That's what your doctors said too, Mr. Corleone, right before they sedated me without consent, and you took what you wanted." The receptionist gasped. 2 security guards shifted uncomfortably. Sebastian's hand gripped the elevator door frame so hard his knuckles went bloodless. "My office. Now." "No." Elena's voice rang crystal clear through the marble lobby. "You don't give me orders anymore, but I'll hear what you have to say, in front of your legal team, your board, and every journalist I've contacted." She watched him process that. Watched the legendary Sebastian Corleone, the man who'd built an empire from nothing, who'd crushed competitors without mercy, who'd forced his personal assistant into a nightmare she was still trying to wake from, realize he wasn't in control anymore. "You wouldn't dare," he said softly, dangerously. Elena crouched down, pressing kisses to each of her children's heads. "Mommy needs to talk to this man for a few minutes. Can you 3 sit right here with Ms. Rodriguez and color in your books?" 3 solemn nods. 3 pairs of gray eyes that didn't understand yet that their existence was about to shatter a corporate giant. She rose, met Sebastian's gaze, and let him see everything. The rage, the fear, the fierce protective love that had kept her running for 4 years. "I don't dare, Mr. Corleone," she said. "I promise." Sebastian's private office hadn't changed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture that screamed power, and that same black leather chair where he'd sat 4 years ago, sliding the contract across his desk with those cold, calculated words, "This is purely medical, Ms. Anderton. You'll be compensated generously." Elena stood by the window now, refusing to sit, refusing to show weakness. "They're mine." It wasn't a question. Sebastian's voice came from behind her, rough with something she couldn't identify. Shock? Anger? Wonder? "Biologically? Yes." Elena turned, keeping her expression neutral. "In every way that matters? They're mine. You're just the man who violated me." His jaw tightened. "I never—" "You had me drugged beyond the agreed sedation. Your doctors performed procedures I never consented to, and when I woke up screaming, you paid me $2 million and made me sign an NDA. Her voice cracked despite her best efforts. "I was 24 years old, Sebastian. I trusted you." For a moment, just a flash, something human crossed his face. Regret, maybe. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "The condition was real," he said quietly. "Every doctor told me it was impossible. I was desperate to continue my family line. My father had just died, and the board was circling like vultures, saying a man who couldn't produce an heir wasn't fit to lead. So you used me like an incubator. I thought it wouldn't work." The words exploded from him. "I thought we'd go through the procedure. It would fail like every other attempt, and you'd walk away wealthy enough to never work again." Elena laughed bitterly. "And when I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks later, when I called you crying, terrified, and you had your lawyers threaten me into silence?" Sebastian's hands curled into fists. "That wasn't— I didn't know you were pregnant. My legal team handled— Your legal team threatened to destroy me if I ever contacted you again. They said I'd fabricated the pregnancy to extort you. They sent investigators to my apartment, my family's home, my sister's workplace." She stepped closer, letting him see the steel in her eyes. "So I ran. I emptied that blood money account, changed my name, and spent 4 years looking over my shoulder. Then why come back?" His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Why now?" Elena pulled a folder from her bag, slapped it on his desk. Medical records, birth certificates, 3 beautiful faces staring up from glossy paper. "Because Lily needs a bone marrow transplant, and I'm not a match." Her voice broke on her daughter's name. "Because Mason has your rare blood type, and Sophie—" She swallowed hard. "Sophie asks every night why she doesn't have a daddy like the other kids." Sebastian's face crumbled as he stared at the photos. "So here's the deal, Mr. Corleone," Elena continued, her heart hammering. "You get tested. If you're a match, you save Lily's life. In return, I don't destroy you in every courtroom and media outlet in this country." His eyes met hers, those gray eyes her children had inherited. "And if I want more than that?" he asked softly. "If I want to know them? Want to know them?" Elena's laugh was sharp enough to draw blood. "You think you get to want things after what you did?" Sebastian moved around his desk, and she instinctively stepped back. He noticed, stopped. Something flickered across his face, hurt, maybe, or shame. "I'll get tested today," he said. "But, Elena, if I'm a match, if I save Lily's life, I want paternity established. Legally, I want—" The office door burst open. A woman strode in, tall, blonde, dripping in diamonds that caught the afternoon light. Victoria Stratton, Sebastian's fiancée. Elena recognized her from the society pages she'd obsessively monitored for years. "Darling, I've been waiting in the car for 20 minutes. Victoria stopped dead, her sharp blue eyes assessing Elena with the precision of a predator. Who's this? My former personal assistant, Sebastian said smoothly. Too smoothly. Miss Anderton needs... Your former assistant who just walked into your building with 3 children who look exactly like you? Victoria's voice could have frozen hell. She turned to Elena, a vicious smile playing on her lips. Did you really think this would work? Elena's blood ran cold. Excuse me? The oldest con in the book. Victoria examined her manicured nails. Show up with random children, claim they're his, extort money from a desperate billionaire. She laughed. Sebastian can't have children, sweetheart. It's medically impossible. Whatever you're selling, we're not buying. Victoria? Sebastian's voice held a warning. No. Victoria's eyes glittered dangerously. I've worked too hard for this. We're getting married in 3 months, Sebastian. I'm not letting some nobody with fake babies ruin... They're not fake. The words came out before Elena could stop them. And I have DNA evidence to prove it. The room went silent. Victoria turned to Sebastian slowly. What did you do? He said nothing. His silence was an admission. Oh my God! Victoria's face contorted with rage. You actually... with her? She whirled on Elena. How much do you want? Name your price and get the hell out of our lives. I don't want money. Elena's voice shook. I want my daughter to live. Your daughter? Victoria's laugh was cruel. Those children are bargaining chips to you. If one's sick, that's just leverage for a bigger payday. The slap echoed through the office before Elena realized her hand had moved. Victoria stumbled back, hand pressed to her reddening cheek, eyes wide with shock and fury. You just assaulted me, Victoria hissed. Sebastian, call security. I want her arrested. I want those children taken by social services. I want... Get out. Sebastian's voice was ice. Now. Victoria. What? I said get out of my office. He moved between them, his body shielding Elena. Before I have security remove you. Victoria's face went white, then red. You're choosing her? After everything We're engaged, Sebastian. He pulled the ring from his pocket, a massive diamond Elena hadn't noticed on Victoria's finger earlier. No, wait. Victoria wasn't wearing it. Not anymore, he said quietly, holding it out. Victoria looked between them, her perfectly composed mask finally cracking. This is a mistake. She'll destroy you. She snatched the ring and stormed out, her heels clicking like gunshots. Elena realized she was shaking. 72 hours of Sebastian showing up at Elena's hotel suite uninvited. 72 hours of him sitting in the lobby, watching the triplets play, never approaching but always there. Like a ghost she couldn't exorcise. "Mommy, why does that man keep staring at us?" Mason asked on the 3rd morning, his gray eyes, so heartbreakingly like his father's, filled with confusion. "Because he's trying to decide if we're worth the destruction we'll bring to his perfect life, baby. He's just someone Mommy used to work for," Elena managed. Lily coughed from the bed, the sound wet and painful. Her pale face had grown paler over the past weeks, the leukemia stealing her vitality piece by piece. Sophie immediately crawled up beside her sister, wrapping small arms around her. "It's okay, Lily. Mommy's gonna fix it," Sophie whispered. Elena's heart shattered all over again. A knock at the door. She knew who it was before she opened it. Sebastian stood there holding a manila envelope and a bag from the children's favorite bakery. He'd noticed. Of course he'd noticed everything during his vigil. "The results," he said simply. Elena's hands trembled as she took the envelope. Inside, genetic confirmation of paternity. And the second page. "I'm a perfect match for Lily," Sebastian said softly. "We can schedule the transplant immediately. I've already contacted the best—" "How did you know which one is Lily?" The question escaped before she could stop it. His eyes met hers, and for the first time she saw raw emotion there. "She has your smile. Even when she's struggling to breathe, she smiles at her siblings." "Just like you used to smile at me when I was drowning in board meetings and corporate warfare." Elena's throat tightened. "Don't do that. Don't pretend we had something real." "Didn't we?" He stepped closer. "Before everything went wrong, before I let desperation make me a monster? Elena, you were the only person who ever looked at me like I was human, not a bank account, not a dynasty, just Sebastian. That Sebastian died the night you betrayed me." "Maybe he did." His voice dropped. "But maybe he's trying to come back. For them, for—" "Don't say it." She backed away. "You don't get to want me again. You had me drugged and violated, Sebastian. You don't come back from that with pretty words." He flinched like she'd struck him. "I know. God, Elena, I know. But those 3 children deserve better than a father who's just a name on a check. They deserve—" The hotel room door opened behind her. Mason stood there, his little face solemn. "Are you our daddy?" he asked Sebastian directly. The mighty Sebastian Corleone, CEO, billionaire, corporate legend, crumbled. He dropped to one knee, eye level with his son, and Elena watched tears stream down his face. "Yes," he whispered, if you'll let me be." Mason studied him for a long moment, then held out his small hand. "Okay, but you have to save Lily first. That's the rule." Sebastian took his son's hand like it was the most precious thing in the world. "Deal," he said. The transplant was scheduled for the following week. Sebastian had moved them into his penthouse. Better medical access, he'd claimed. But Elena suspected it was more about keeping them close, keeping her close. She hated how the children had taken to him, how Lily let him read her bedtime stories, how Mason showed him his drawings, how Sophie claimed his lap during movie nights like she'd always known he was hers. She hated it almost as much as she hated the way her treacherous heart still skipped when he looked at her. 6 days before the surgery, Elena found Sebastian in his study at 2 a.m., surrounded by medical files. "You should sleep," she said from the doorway. He looked up, exhausted. "So should you." "Can't. Lily had nightmares." Something shifted in his expression. "Is she—" "She's fine. Sophie's with her." Elena stepped inside, drawn despite herself. "Sebastian, I need to know something. That night. Did you know? Before the procedure? Did you know what they were going to do to me?" She watched him carefully. This was the question that had haunted her for 4 years. "No." His voice cracked. "Elena, I swear on those children's lives, I thought it would be exactly what the contract said. Minimal sedation, clinical procedure, done. When my head of security called me 3 hours later saying you were hysterical, that you were threatening to go to the police—" He stood, moved toward her. "I came to the medical facility. You were sedated again, and Dr. Reeves told me—" "What?" Her heart hammered. "What did he tell you?" "That you'd panicked during the procedure and they'd increased sedation for your safety. That everything went according to plan." His hands clenched. "I believed him, Elena. I paid you, had my lawyers draw up the NDA, and thought I'd done the right thing. Compensated you generously for your discomfort. You never asked me what happened." "No." The word was broken. "I didn't, and that's unforgivable." Elena's legs felt weak. She sank into a chair. "Then why did your lawyers threaten me when I called?" Sebastian's face went pale. "What?" "When I found out I was pregnant. I called you crying, and your legal team told me—" "I never got that call." He was moving now, pulling his phone, scrolling frantically. "Elena, I never— Jesus Christ!" He turned the phone toward her. An email from his former legal team dated 4 years ago. "Ms. Anderton attempting contact. Extortion threat neutralized per your standing instructions regarding former female employees. No further action required." Elena's world tilted. "Your standing instructions?" "After my father died, Victoria suggested I protect myself from opportunistic women." His voice was hollow. "I authorized my legal team to handle any claims without bothering me. I never imagined you'd actually be pregnant." "So you didn't know?" The words felt strange in her mouth. "You really didn't know about the triplets? Not until you walked into my building 6 days ago." The truth hit her like a tidal wave. 4 years of rage, 4 years of believing he'd knowingly abandoned them. "Victoria knew," Sebastian continued, his voice turning dangerous. "The night she burst into my office. She wasn't surprised about the children. She was angry I'd done it with her." His eyes met Elena's. "She knew before I did." Elena's blood ran cold. "How?" Sebastian was already pulling up files, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Security footage, financial records, and there— "Holy God," he breathed. On the screen, Victoria Stratton meeting with Dr. Reeves 2 weeks before Elena's procedure, money changing hands, and a document Elena recognized, her medical consent forms, with her signature forged on procedures she'd never agreed to. "She planned it," Elena whispered. "She planned all of it." Sebastian's face had gone deadly calm, the face of a man capable of destroying empires. "Not just planned it," he said softly. "She's the one who had my legal team threaten you. She's on the board of my family's foundation. She had access to everything." His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Enjoying your little reunion? Pity about Lily's transplant. Would hate for complications to arise. Back off, or the girl pays the price. V." Sebastian moved faster than Elena had ever seen. Within minutes, he had security stationed outside the children's rooms, medical staff vetted and replaced, and Victoria's threat forwarded to his personal attorney. But it wasn't enough. 2 days before the scheduled transplant, Elena woke to find Lily's room empty. The scream that tore from her throat brought Sebastian running. Security footage showed a nurse, one they'd never seen before, wheeling Lily out during the night shift change. The real nurse had been found locked in a supply closet, drugged. "She took my baby," Elena sobbed, clinging to Sebastian's shirt. "She took Lily." Sebastian's phone rang. Victoria's voice dripped through the speaker like poison. "Looking for something, darling? Where is she?" Sebastian's voice was lethal calm. "Somewhere safe, for now." Victoria laughed. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to wire $50 million to my account. Elena is going to sign a statement saying she fabricated the entire story, that the children aren't yours, and you're going to marry me in 72 hours as planned." "You're insane," Elena choked out. "I'm practical. I've spent 5 years positioning myself to be Mrs. Sebastian Corleone. I'm not letting some nobody with her illegitimate brats ruin that." Her voice hardened. "Tick-tock, Sebastian. Every hour you delay, Lily gets a little sicker, and we both know she's running out of time." The line went dead. Elena collapsed. Mason and Sophie came running, sensing something wrong. And Sebastian gathered all of them, his broken family, into his arms. "We'll find her," he promised. "I swear on my life we'll find her." But 3 hours passed. 6, 12. The police were involved, but moving too slowly. Victoria had covered her tracks perfectly. Elena sat in Lily's empty room, holding her daughter's favorite stuffed rabbit, feeling her mind fracture. "I should have stayed hidden," she whispered. "I should never have come back." Sebastian knelt before her, his hands gentle on her face. Don't do that. She's dying because of me, because I thought you could save her. And I will." His voice broke. "Elena, I need you to trust me one more time. Please." She looked into those gray eyes, the eyes she saw in her children's faces, and saw something she'd never seen before. Not the cold billionaire, not the desperate man who'd violated her trust, just a father terrified of losing his daughter. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. Sebastian pulled out his phone, showed her a message from an unknown number, GPS coordinates, and a single word: "Hurry." "My head of security. He's been tracking Victoria's burner phones." Sebastian stood, pulling Elena with him. "She's at my family's old estate, 3 hours north. She thinks it's abandoned, but you still have access," Elena finished. "I'm going to get our daughter back." He cupped her face. "Stay here with Mason and Sophie. If something goes wrong—" "No." Elena grabbed his jacket. "We both go. We both bring her home." For the first time in 4 years, they moved as one. The estate loomed against the night sky like a Gothic nightmare. Sebastian killed the engine 1/2 mile out, and they approached on foot through the overgrown gardens. "I grew up here," Sebastian whispered as they moved through the shadows. "After my mother died, my father couldn't stand it. Too many memories." Elena squeezed his hand. When had she started holding his hand? They found the entrance his security chief had marked, a servant's door with a broken lock. Inside, the mansion was dark except for a faint light on the 2nd floor. The nursery. Elena's heart clenched. Of course Victoria would take Lily there. They climbed the stairs in silence. At the top, Sebastian stopped her, his eyes intense. "Whatever happens," he breathed, "know that these past 6 days with you, with them, they've been the most real thing in my life since—" A child's cry cut through the darkness. Lily. They burst through the nursery door together. Victoria stood by the window holding Lily, who looked pale and weak, but alive. Alive. "Right on time," Victoria said coldly. A gun appeared in her other hand. "Did you really think I wouldn't see you coming?" "Let her go," Elena begged. "Victoria, please. She's just a child. She's sick. She needs to disappear." Victoria's voice was ice. "Along with the other 2. You've ruined everything, Elena. Do you know what it's like to be perfect for someone? To mold yourself into exactly what they need, only to lose it all because some nobody opened her legs? Is that what this is about?" Sebastian's voice was surprisingly gentle. "Victoria, I never loved—" "Don't!" She pressed the gun against Lily's small body. "Don't you dare pity me!" Elena's world narrowed to that gun, to her daughter's frightened whimper. "You want me gone?" Elena stepped forward, hands raised. "Fine, I'll disappear. I'll take the children and you'll never see us again. Just let her go." "Elena, no," Sebastian started. "It's not enough," Victoria screamed. "Don't you understand? The world knows now. The board knows. Everyone knows Sebastian Corleone has bastard children. His reputation is destroyed, and it's all because of you." She aimed the gun at Elena. Time slowed. Sebastian moved, throwing himself in front of Elena as the shot rang out. But the bullet never came, because Lily, sweet sick Lily, had bitten down hard on Victoria's arm. The gun fired wild, shattering a window. Victoria shrieked, dropping both the gun and the child. Elena lunged, catching Lily before she hit the ground. Sebastian tackled Victoria, pinning her as police sirens wailed in the distance. His security chief burst in with armed guards. "Got your SOS, boss. Cavalry's here." Elena collapsed to the floor, clutching Lily, sobbing into her daughter's hair. "You're safe. Baby, you're safe." Lily's small hand touched her mother's face. "Is Daddy okay?" Elena looked up. Sebastian was watching them, blood on his sleeve where he'd hit the ground, but his eyes were full of everything she'd been afraid to hope for. "Yeah, baby," Elena whispered. "Daddy's okay." The transplant happened 48 hours later. Elena stood in the observation room, watching through the glass as Sebastian lay on the operating table beside their daughter. He'd refused general anesthesia, insisting on being awake, his hand holding Lily's tiny one, even as the doctors harvested his bone marrow. "You're being so brave, Princess," she heard him whisper through the intercom. "Just like your mother," Lily's small voice replied. "Will I be okay now, Daddy?" "You're going to be better than okay." His voice cracked. "You're going to be extraordinary." Mason and Sophie pressed against Elena's legs, watching their father save their sister. "Mommy, does this mean Daddy's staying?" Sophie asked. Elena's throat tightened. They hadn't talked about about what came next once Lily was safe. The procedure took 6 hours. When they finally brought Lily to recovery, Sebastian refused to leave her side. Elena found him there at midnight, his hands still holding their daughter's, his head bowed in exhausted prayer. "You should rest," she said softly. "So should you." He looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "Elena, we need to talk about—" "I know." She sat beside him. "Sebastian, these past 2 weeks have been terrifying, chaotic, the best days of my life." He turned to face her fully. "Because that's what they've been for me. Every breakfast with Mason showing me his drawings, every time Sophie falls asleep in my lap, every moment watching you be the strongest, most incredible mother." His voice broke. "I don't deserve you, any of you, but I'm begging you not to disappear again." "Victoria almost killed our daughter because of us," Elena whispered. "Victoria is going to prison for 20 years. Sebastian took her hand. "The police found everything. The forged medical documents, the payoffs to Dr. Reeves, evidence she'd been embezzling from my company for years. She was desperate, and desperate people do terrible things." He paused. "I know something about that." Elena met his eyes. "You're not the same man who hurt me 4 years ago." "No, because you showed me who I could be." He slid from his chair to his knees. "Elena Anderton, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking you to love me. But I'm asking, let me be their father. Let me be the man they deserve. And maybe, if I spend every day proving myself worthy, you might—" "Sebastian." She stopped him with a hand on his cheek. "I'm terrified of trusting you, of this. But these past 2 weeks, I've watched you become someone I didn't know existed. The man who reads bedtime stories, who learned Sophie's favorite songs, who held Mason during his nightmares about losing Lily." "I love them," he said simply. "And I love you. I think I've loved you since you first walked into my office 6 years ago and told me my coffee order was disgustingly pretentious." Elena laughed through her tears. "I did say that, didn't I?" "You did. And I fell for you right then." Behind them, a small voice. Does this mean we're a real family now?" They turned. Lily was awake, weak but smiling. Mason and Sophie had climbed onto her bed, and all three were watching with hopeful gray eyes. Sebastian looked at Elena. Elena looked at their children. "Yeah," she whispered. "Yeah, I think we are." 6 months later, Elena stood in the garden of Sebastian's estate, their estate now, watching Lily chase butterflies. Her daughter's hair had grown back in soft curls, her cheeks pink with health. The transplant had been a complete success. "Mommy, look," Lily called. "I caught one." "Let it go, baby," Elena called back. "Beautiful things need to be free." Sebastian's arms wrapped around her waist from behind. Wise words from a woman who finally stopped running. She leaned into him, still marveling at how natural this felt, how right. "I had good reason to stop." "Oh?" His lips brushed her neck. "And what reason was that?" "3 very stubborn children who decided they liked having a father." She turned in his arms. "And maybe their mother decided she liked having him around too." His smile could have lit the city. 6 months of family dinners, of shared bedtime routines, of slowly rebuilding trust. It showed in every line of his face. The cold billionaire was gone. In his place was a man who knew what mattered. "Speaking of which," Sebastian reached into his pocket. "Sebastian, no," Elena started. "Let me finish." He didn't drop to one knee. Instead, he held the ring between them, a simple platinum band with 3 small stones. Emerald for Lily, sapphire for Mason, ruby for Sophie. I had it made 3 months ago, but I waited, because I wanted you to be sure. Elena, I'm not the man who hurt you. I'll spend the rest of my life proving that. But I am the man who loves you, who loves our children, who wants to wake up every morning and fall asleep every night with you beside me." Tears streamed down her face. "You're doing the speech." "I'm doing the speech." He smiled. "Will you marry me? Not because I'm a billionaire, not because of the children, but because somewhere between the chaos and the fear and the fighting, we found something real?" "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, you impossible man. Yes." He slid the ring on her finger as their children erupted in cheers. Mason pumped his fist, Sophie danced in circles, and Lily ran over, crashing into both of them. "Does this mean big wedding?" Mason asked suspiciously. "With fancy clothes?" "Small wedding," Sebastian assured him. "Just family. Just us." "And Grandpa," Sophie added. "We have a grandpa now." Elena laughed. Sebastian's father, technically his grandfather, had come out of retirement to meet his great-grandchildren. The old man had taken one look at the triplets and declared them the only good thing Sebastian ever did. As the sun set over the garden, Elena looked at her family, her impossible, beautiful, chaotic family, born from pain and betrayal, but forged in love and second chances. "What are you thinking?" Sebastian asked softly. She smiled up at him. "That sometimes the worst moments lead to the best endings." He kissed her forehead. "Our ending is just beginning." And as their 3 children played in the fading light, their laughter ringing like bells, Elena finally believed in happy endings again.